books that have helped me or I have felt gravitated towards in my career crisis. I grabbed a few books from my bookshelf that I've already read, that I love, that have truly changed my perspective and my mindset during uncertain periods of my life, especially the last few years as I have been navigating a career crisis, a career pivot of sorts. And then I've got some books that I've just felt very gravitated towards, that have just been calling my name when I see them on the bookshelf. I've ordered them and I will be getting through them in the coming weeks and months. But to start with, if I had to pick one book as my all-time favorite book that I've ever read in my entire life, I know that is a big statement, but it would be this one. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma. I believe there are a few different versions of this book, so I don't know which one this is, but nonetheless, incredible book that I could not put down. Basically, it's the story of a very successful lawyer who collects all the accolades, hits all the milestones, is extremely successful on paper, has all the money, has the status, has the career, you know the drill. And then he goes through this journey with the support of a monk that he meets and basically discovers himself and the meaning of life without all of those things. What is the purpose of achieving all of these things that, again, on paper, we deem to be very successful, that you get to a certain point in your life and you wonder, what is the purpose in collecting these things if I don't have a bigger purpose, a bigger direction, and I guess really an intention behind why I'm striving to reach a certain point or to get a certain title or to reach a certain point in my career, all of those external things. Absolutely love this book. Next is this book that I'm sure you've seen doing the rounds on the internet called The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. I made a whole video on this book, which I will link a couple of years ago. But firstly, you don't have to read this book cover to cover. I think that is, I love books where you can just pick them up when you feel the need for a dose of inspiration. In this case, I think when you feel the need for a hit of creativity inspiration, perhaps when you are in a creative rut. That's when I purchased this book a few years ago when I just felt like I was in a big creative rut. And it gives you a really beautiful way of thinking about creativity. Creativity is, firstly, everyone is creative. I think a lot of people write themselves off as not being creative, but everyone is creative. There is no right or wrong way of being creative or expressing creativity. But it also shares concepts around being creative is actually becoming more curious and noticing things. Being creative is not just bringing something to life, right? We think drawing or writing that blog or making that video, that's the start of the creative act. No, the start of the creative act is actually you just having the idea, you having that spark that was triggered because you were on a walk and you were actually just paying attention to the things around you. So creativity is very much a byproduct of the environment that you're in, but also sharing your work early. This is the biggest learning for me and part of why I'm such a fan of doing these daily videos. Pushing through perfectionism and sharing your work early before it's ready is a part of the creative act and the creative process. And as you put your work out there, whether it's a video, whether it's a blog, whether it's a sketch, whatever it might be, maybe it's a photograph if you're a photographer, putting your work out there early and getting feedback and getting used to sharing something before it's perfect is also a way to cultivate creativity. Anyway, I couldn't possibly go through all of the concepts that he shares in here, but it is absolutely amazing. And it's a book that I reach for when I feel like I'm lacking inspiration or creativity in my life. Now let's move to some of the books that I've just ordered. These are the 4 books I'm adding to my reading list. I have the urge to read them all at once. So let's see how I go with that. Right, first and foremost, I have Siddhartha, which is a book actually recommended by a friend of mine. And as we were talking about me figuring out what the next chapter of my career looks like, getting to the end of hopefully my career crisis, she thought this would be a really good read. So I absolutely love what it says on the back of this book. It says, seeking means to have a goal, but finding means to be free. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, next we have The Alchemist. I'm a little bit embarrassed to say I don't know what this book is about, even though it is a classic. I look forward to getting through this one. It looks like a pretty light and easy read, but I can't remember if my friend recommended that I should read this at this point in my life, or I just felt drawn to it. We'll find out once I've read it. Now, the next book is a fairly recent release called I Eat the Stars, How to Live Fully and Beautifully in a Collapsing World by Sarah Wilson. I saw a recommendation for this on TikTok, and the person who recommended it said that it actually changed their perspective on the world as it is today. And this is what the back says, which also really got me compelled to read this book. How to find meaning, beauty, and joy in an age of global systems collapse. Our world is going through a fundamental shift. The crises and threats are piling up. AI takeover, climate carnage, intensified conflicts, techno-fascist rule, and authoritarianism. Why now and why everything all at once? In I Eat the Stars, Sarah Wilson explains that we are in the midst of what every sophisticated civilization before us has experienced. Complex systems collapse. And she goes on to explore how we, as tender-hearted humans, can navigate this radical moment together, so on and so forth. I don't really know what to expect from reading this book. Some of the topics or chapters in here are about hope, relief, truth, collapse, spiritual, death, denial, uncertainty, anti-chaos, wisdom, adulting, simplification, so on and so forth. So I will let you know how I like this one. And then last but not least, I'm sure you've also heard of this book, The Pivot Year. This one just spoke to me because I guess the pivot that I'm going through in my career/life. 365 days to become the person you truly want to be. And if you saw my day one video, I said a part of me doing this daily posting challenge is to become the version of me, the best version of me, going into my next chapter. So I guess the back explains it all. If you're in a pivot period, if you're still bridging the space between where you are and where you want to be, remember that the person you're becoming is already within you. The journey is convincing your mind to act consistently on what your heart already knows it wants to do. So it just has, again, you don't have to read this cover to cover, you just pick it up and it's got a passage to read every single day. I guess I'll end this video here on the note of becoming who you want to be. I'll end by saying that today I did not feel like picking up the camera. I felt very unmotivated to do so, but I have made a commitment to myself to show up every single day, no matter what video I end up posting. And now that I've done it, obviously I need to post this, but now that I've filmed it, it's gonna go up and I feel so much better for it because I know the person I want to be is the person that shows up every single day, no matter what. So yeah, thanks for sticking around for another rep. I'll be back tomorrow for, I believe, day 5, and I'll see you then.